A lot of people that pick up brand new Gladiator Mojaves, you know that they include the upgraded Fox suspension in both the rear and the front of the vehicle, as well as the Fox bump stops. A lot of people said, you know, if you're gonna pay the money for that Mojave suspension, why would you rip all those good components off? Well, we drove a few hours up here with our friends at Clayton Off Road, and we're gonna show you exactly our solution for the Jeep Gladiator Mojave that hopefully makes everyone watching this video a little bit more educated on the Mojave, as well as doesn't make you guys too upset, as we're not gonna be removing everything from this Jeep. And cat's out of the bag, we're gonna put a lift kit on it. So the Mojave actually includes these Fox 2.5-inch reservoir shocks in both the front and the rear. You see the roof shield here. The bolts are actually larger on the front shock lowers, I believe, and these things are just absolutely massive. Fox has a long-standing reputation for quality suspension components, and on the Mojave it's no different. You can see in the rear the reservoir is mounted to the shock, but Ryan, if we walk up front, a lot of folks don't even take too close of a look at where the reservoir is, because you can see it's the same shock body here, larger lower bolts, but then the reservoir is remote. Now what this remote reservoir does is moves it away, gives you a lot more fluid inside here, and allows these shocks to stay a lot cooler. That's why this Jeep says desert rated, because when you're in the desert you're going to be hitting more whoops, and the suspension is going to be pushed to its limits. The shocks are going to be cycling much more, and having the remote reservoir definitely helps with cooling, with that shock fade, and that's why a lot of people don't want to remove this. And then a lot of people don't even know, but inside here you have your Fox bump stops. So you can see the little foxtail in here, and this is all completely inside of your coil spring. So today we're gonna do our best to not remove all the money we spent on this Gladiator and still make all of this work, but get it just a little bit higher. We're not going too crazy. I think you guys are gonna like what this thing looks like when it's done. So obviously, guys, we had a set of 37, 12.5, 17-inch wheels on this Jeep, right? We got Mopar, the beadlock capable wheels. And what's nice about this is actually just throwing those onto Mojave, they fit. It didn't squat too bad in the bed, and there was no rubbing anywhere. I guarantee you, if you'd articulate even a little bit over like a mall curb or a parking lot, this thing would have flexed and rubbed pretty much everything inside the fender wells. But what did we fix, or what did we find the solution for this Mojave where we can keep the shocks, not get rid of all those good components, but give it more beef? And that's what we've got laid out over here. So we've got everything sitting on the table. The guys here that are installing this have laid everything we're going to be installing out. And we went with the tried and true Clayton Off Road Overland Plus suspension system. Ryan, how many of these kits do we have on our rigs at this point? It's almost every one of our vehicles. The beefiness of this kit components and what we've got going on here is obviously something that's really great for the Mojave. So we're going with a 1.5-inch suspension system. It's going to pick this up just a little bit more and give us more articulation while not going too high, so we can still reuse those factory shocks. What I really love, besides everything about the Clayton Off Road suspension system, is that we get all 8 adjustable control arms, front and rear adjustable track bars, and then all the coil springs. Now, because we're not doing shocks today, we're able to add those extensions. But the good news is that in the future, Ryan, if we decided to say we wanted to go to a 3.5-inch lift, this is not big enough, we want to articulate, we want to wheel more, you can adjust all these control arms, all the track bars, and just add on new shocks. So you don't have to start off with a brand new lift kit. You can start with this, a solid foundation, and then keep building upon it. So we're very excited to get all this on, and just, I don't know, with this truck, you can see we got the chase rack, we got the lights, not going insanely high. Like your orange Jeep that's a 2.5-inch lift, it's not insane. It fits 37s very nicely. We're trying to keep this a little bit lower, and then it also helps us keep those shocks. So we're excited to see what all this does and get that 1.5-inch lift and kind of see where this Jeep levels out at. And if you guys enjoy this style of content, adding lift kits, seeing what the lift height is, checking this Jeep out when it's done. We're trying to hit 100K very soon. We're almost there, and we've got a huge surprise when we do so. So if you don't mind, drop a comment down below, or if you're brand new to the channel, we'd love to have you around. You can always hit that subscribe button and stay up to date on all the Jeep mods, the content, the news, and all sorts of other fun stuff. And if you've been around the channel for a long time, thanks for following along. We hope you enjoyed this one. So one thing that's really neat when you come up to Clayton Off Road, I always forget just how many components they actually make. It's not just full suspension systems, long arm kits, all the other accessories that go onto lifting the vehicle, but it's everything you might need to solve other problems. So on this Jeep in particular, particular, the Gladiators, have a real big issue of the rear sway bar upper mount actually ripping off the frame. You can see it's just a single wall here. It's actually got a little bit of a bend on both sides, but if you put enough stress and really flex this thing out, they actually can just rip off the frame. Now what's nice is the Clayton Off Road solution utilizes a lot more of the factory bolts. You've got 2 bolts back here, 2 here, and then the sway bar, instead of just going onto a flat tab, is actually encapsulated. That's the way it should be, because you've got 2 shear points now instead of just one hanging that full weight of the vehicle. Now we are going to be installing this onto our suspension system here just to reinforce it a little bit. We've got desert rated on the badge, so we may as well make the rest of the components just as beefy. But they didn't stop there, Ryan. We've installed that rear 37-inch track bar on the orange, on the Juice Hemi, and what's cool about that is that gives you the ability to actually run a full-size spare underneath up to a 37-inch tire. They've got control arm skids, front axle disconnect skids, and a whole slew of accessories that when you're picking up a lift kit, it might not hurt to throw some of this stuff in the cart while you've got everything already torn apart. So he's pulling the isolators off of the stock. Just the lower, you pull both of them off?
We're going to do both.
Yep. Pull both of these isolators off just because that reduces chatter. And chatter, you mean the springs contacting, or the coils contacting each other in different movement. I've never seen that, so that's an interesting tip. We've never done it. That's probably why yours chats all the time. No, it doesn't. It doesn't, but you never know, right? Like, that's the more you learn. I wouldn't have done that. So guys, here's a little bit of a difference in between both of these coil springs. We've got the Clayton obviously on the right here, and then the stock spring on my left-hand side. Now this is only an 1.5 inch lift, but you can see just how much this does pick up the height of the vehicle. Now on the Gladiators, there is a slight rake because they are meant to be towed at some point. So what this does is includes that rake into it, picks it up the same way, gives us obviously a lot more coils to work with. And these are triple rate spring too in the back, right? Triple rate spring too, to give you all sorts of adjustability on-road, off-road, the faster driving, and then really let you articulate when you need to. But that's pretty neat. I want to see what those look like with those isolators on. So we're gonna let him throw those isolators to reduce that chatter, because that's a very smart idea, because these top coils, these are what's going to compress first. So what that's doing is just reducing the chances of metal on metal contact, especially if you're doing a ton of on-road driving. So a bit of a comparison here like we normally do, just to show the absolute size difference of the Clayton Off Road lower control arm versus the stock, especially when you turn it onto the side here. You can see the factory control arms are actually a 2-piece that is stuck together like this, and then probably robot welded just along the edge, and then the end joints are welded on there as well. Clayton Off Road, you're using solid square stock on here, and then this end is welded on with their maintenance-free bushings. The nice thing about the Overland Plus is the bushings are maintenance-free. So there's a couple different suspension systems, and a lot of the time people say, look, Clayton sells the premium suspension system. That's way better than this one. The premium is just the difference in the joints on the end. You can get a little bit more flex and articulation, but you've got to maintain them. The Overland Plus are completely self-sustained gyro bushings, and what's great is they give you a fantastic ride on and off the road, and they're maintenance-free. So no grease, no crawling under here, and best of all, no squeaking. You guys all know, if you're getting older JKs, older TJs that have the Heim joints, they always squeak, and you've got to maintain them all the time. Not from this, but yeah, the overall beefiness of this is just, it's incredible. That's a helpful tip there, Ryan. You got to let the full thing on its own weight before you torque everything down. A lot of people don't, and then you guys end up getting the phone calls here of, why is everything bound up? Right. Yeah, because like right now it's like, hey, great, like I have it all, I can see everything, let me just impact it all, torque it down, but it creates the bind on all the bushings. So
can't get excited.
No, it's exciting though. It is exciting, and then you jump the gun, and yeah. So everything has to be on, and actually the full vehicle too. I know Adam and I have chatted. Put the full vehicle on its own weight before you torque anything down. So basically, the key is getting installed here, Ryan. We're actually putting the shock extensions in. Now, these are made by JKS. We're bolting these in, and these are going to allow us to keep the factory shocks with up to, I believe the instructions say, a 2.5 inch lift. Now, what will happen is this bolt will actually... So here, I'm going to... It's okay. I'm going to swap it out again. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so just like that. So what's going to happen is you have a lower bolt here with a crush sleeve in the center of it, and then you're also going to drill out 2 holes on the backside to reinforce the bracket and get it to bolt into the factory shock location. Now the factory shock lower mount is going to bolt into this top mount here and effectively raise up the shock mount, giving you enough clearance for our 1.5 inch lift kit today. But over that, you wouldn't want to utilize the factory shock. So I know the entire audience was saying, You guys, you have to keep the factory shocks. You can't get rid of these. That's why you bought the Mojave. We're doing just that with the Clayton Off Road beefiness here with the control arms and all the other goodies. But for now, this will get us up, allow us to run these shocks and not replace them quite yet. Well guys, the rear is all buttoned up here. You can see everything's been completely installed. It is all just loosely installed. That's a big thing when you're doing that, is you're not going to torque anything down until there's full body weight and full vehicle weight on the ground. Now, from what we're talking about in there, we're going to take it from the 2-post, probably over to the 4-post, and then torque everything down. But you can see track bars in, brand new Clayton coils in the rear, sway bar links, the reinforcement brackets, but we kept the Fox 2.5 Mojave shocks. We utilized those JKS brackets down below to raise that up just a few inches. I was looking all over the place to find something that would work. This looks like it's going to work very well, and I'm excited to still have that shock utilizing the heavy-duty Clayton Off Road Overland Plus suspension. So got the whole back wrapped up here. The guys are starting to work on the front, but very, very nice. Now you can see if we had a spare too, this is the track bar that is for that. So if we had a spare down below, we could run the 37s. Fortunately for us, it's up in the bed, but everything is back kind of where it's supposed to be here in the backside. So we're gonna get the front buttoned up, and I can't wait to see this thing on the ground. I think it's gonna look fantastic. So up front, kind of the same situation, guys. Lower control arms are in. We've got the front coil springs. They still went around the Fox bump stop that is up top. We are doing the same for the lower shock mount. So on the Mojave, it is a little bit different. And that's a good note. If you guys are watching this and you have a Mojave and you order something from Clayton Off Road, there are separate bushings or different styles that go into the bottom of a lot of popular brand shocks, such as Falcon, Fox, Bilstein. They have a lot of different lower mounts that are specific for the Mojave. The bolt size is actually larger on this vehicle, so you do have to keep that in mind if you're ordering shocks and you have a Mojave Gladiator. But in this case, we are just going to use the extensions, which we've gotten the lower piece bolted in there, and basically we're going to get everything else set up, get that all connected, and we have a few more pieces to button up here, but it's looking like it's going to go pretty well. All right, guys, well, they were actually doing a little bit of surprise on this side. The track bar reinforcement bracket is fully installed over here, and this is once again by Clayton Off Road. You guys were installing a lot of different components that they also produce to go with the lift kits. So the track bar reinforcement bracket is going to go and hug the steering gear bolts right here. They actually give you longer bolts, clamp onto the outside here, and then give you even more support on the outside of the upper track bar bracket. Now what's nice about this is not only is this going to stiffen up and firm it up here, but when you are steering, the track bar, especially the top mount, experiences a lot of flex, and this is going to very much so help it out. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you're going to bolt it on down here. So a really cool piece. You can also pick that up from Clayton Off Road, but it just goes along well while you're already in this section, already messing with the track bar, messing with other pieces in the skid plates. You may as well add a little bit more beef to help your Jeep drive a little better. Well, guys, the front is all buttoned up. Now we're just about to set it on the ground, torque the wheels and tires down. We do have to move it over and torque everything down, but already, guys are already saying this kind of looks like the Baja truck, and that was our goal with this. We do have a wrap and everything else coming for it, but we're going to drop this thing down, torque everything down, but let's see what that ride height looks like. So these guys are going to lower it right now, and we can kind of check it out and see what it looks like with a 1.5 on a Mojave. Yep. Yeah. I think that's just what we were looking for. What do you guys think?
Sick.
I think it looks good. We definitely have enough clearance in the front and rear fender flares now. Yeah, I think it's I think that's a nice height for it, honestly. And we kept the factory shocks, so we still have factory shocks on there, but yeah. That looks good. They're a Toyo, so they should be close. Yeah. If they were a BFG, it would be like a 33 if it was a 37. And guys, on today's viewer rig of the video, we're going to check out Lone Rubicon's beautiful Jeep Gladiator. They actually just finished up kind of doing a complete color refresh. Now, Zach messaged us. We've been friends with him for a while. He's running our floor light kits. And he actually said a few months ago that he wanted to change over to green. And if you guys have been following him on Instagram, he runs red on everything. There was red all over the outside of this Jeep. He did a full color change, full wrap, which, hint, hint, we might have something coming for this soon. But he's also got on this one a 3.5-inch lift, 17 by 9 in custom powder coated KMC wheels. Absolutely beautiful setup, fender flares, the lighting kit, of course our interior floor lighting kit, and then he's got Casey's all over this thing. I really am a fan of this wrap and the style of this Jeep. And if you guys want to have your rig a chance to be featured on our channel, be sure to email us rigs@dirtroadcredmedia, and it'll go right to our inbox, and we'll check out your Jeep and see if it makes it on Dirt Road Cred. This is the real test. This is why we did everything, right, Adam? To see what it does with the forklift. Yeah, don't flip it over. Flips over, forklift falls onto 392, 4 other Jeeps totaled. Yeah, today on Dirt Road Cred, we destroy $250,000 in 2 minutes. All right, guys, we're gonna do a forklift test here. Adam's gonna drive through the snow pile in the 392. The one thing these guys were all talking about, the limitation. You can't park there, sir. Sir. Okay, so anyways, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do the forklift test on the front. The one limiting factor of running the stock Mojave shocks will be the shock when it comes to articulation. We didn't add much of a bump stop extension, so we kind of want to see what this looks like here. I'm gonna turn off the Tyree lights, which are blinding everyone, and we're gonna test it. All right, you're good to go. And probably the non-disconnecting sway bar is really going to limit it, unfortunately.
Just let me know when I'm off the ground over there.
Yeah, over here, I'll tell you.
Still good on it?
Yeah?
Cool. I'm just going real slow.
Yeah, you're still pretty planted. It's actually quite impressive, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, or at least on the passenger side, see if anything's... There you go. There you go. So we just came off the ground here, guys. Limiting factor on the Mojave, it doesn't have disconnecting sway bars. So I think we have disconnecting sway bars on this thing. We could definitely get a lot more up travel. I know that's the limiting factor right now, but you're keeping the factory shocks. So we're kind of going around and just checking to see what that's doing with the factory shocks. Everything looks okay, but that is going to be the limiting factor. The factory shocks and the front, but I say limiting, but look at how much, we're still up pretty good. For non-sway bars disconnected, and we just came off the ground. Just barely came off the ground over here. So, and honestly, for having factory shocks, I'm quite impressed at how much articulation this Jeep had. Now, we were still able to retain those shocks, but get a really nice looking kit on this. I'm very happy with the height of this. I was honestly excited when we put 37s on and it fit from the factory, but I didn't want to go insanely high with this purple Jeep. We've run 3.5, 2.5, and every other size Gladiator, but we've never done an 1.5 inch lift, and that's exactly what we wanted to do with this one. So you can see dialed in, it's a very nice stance. It's only about 1.25 inches taller in the back end here on the 1.5 inch kit, so it still gives it a really nice rake. And on this Baja runner, this is exactly what we were looking for. Now in the future, if you guys want to pick up Clayton Off Road products, you can go on Dirt Road Cred's website. We'll have them up there in a little while, but until then, if you guys want to pick up a lift kit like this or any of the other cool accessories that we added, go on Clayton Off Road's website and use the code DRC5. It'll save you a little bit as well. We also wanted to thank the entire team at Clayton Off Road. As usual, we've been friends with these guys for so long, and it's awesome to be able to run their kits on our brand new Jeeps, on our Jeeps back at home, and we're excited to see just all the new kits we can install on any other Wranglers and Gladiators we pick up. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, drop a comment down below. There's that new hype button. You can click on that as well. And if you don't mind, maybe hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this style of content. Until next time, though, my name is Matt. Ryan's behind the camera, and we want you to get out there and earn yours.